Alright, so we're going to build our first web page here, and we are inside of a Linux virtual box, so that way I can keep everything kind of separate from my main operating system. I'm going to be using a local Apache server. It's called LAMP, LAMPP. You can use your regular website, of course, now that we have your domain and your hosting set up and you have your domain pointed to the name servers of your host so that people can actually resolve and see your files. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a new file. So what we need to do is create a file called index.html. So you can just hit new file or control N, and we're going to save this as index.html. Now we're going to override this one that I have here in the test, which is fine. Yes, replace. Okay. So we have our index. Now the index is very important, and it's going to be kind of the key file that you use on building any website. The index is automatically resolved as the main file when you first open up a web page. So you can have index.html, index.php, index.asp, things like that. When you first visit, unless you specifically set it otherwise, it's going to default to that index. Whatever extension you're using. So this is going to be your main file. You would load this up in your public HTML or your htdocs or your www folder on your web server. You can ask your host specifically which folder they use. If you're using cPanel, you can just look in the file manager and see exactly what's going on. So again, we're using Sublime 3 Text here. It's free to download. You can get a license for it. They do have an unlimited time to trial it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create the HTML skeleton for our page. So just type in HTML and hit tab, and it's going to automatically create the skeleton for us. So let's break this down just a little bit. We have our doc type declaration here at the top, which tells us that this is an HTML5 application or page. We have our opening and closing HTML tags here, as you can see highlighted. We have our opening and closing head tag, we have our title tag, and then we have our body tag. Now the title tag is going to be exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be the title of your page. So kind of like how this tab is here, and you have those tabs on Firefox and Google Chrome, that's what's going to show up, and it's going to show up here in the top as well. So for this instance, we're just going to call this CS112 PowerPoint presentation. Okay, and then inside of our body, I'm a little paranoid. I like to tab and space and all that fun goodness. So we're going to create a couple tags here, and they're very basic, very simple. They've been around since the beginning of HTML. So we're going to do a H1 tag. Now the H1 tag is just a header tag. You can just type H1 and hit tab, and it'll auto-complete it for you. This is one of 6 heading tags, and it's the largest of the bunch, and allows you to basically, as it sounds, create a heading for the page. So in this instance here, we're going to say hello world, and then we're going to say, yeah, hello world, this is my first web page. Okay, and then we're going to hit end, go to the end of the file, go down, we're going to type P tab and create a paragraph tag. Now this paragraph tag is just a very basic tag again, that allows you to create some paragraphs on your page. Now, in reality, with your HTML, you'd be creating sections, and you would be using frameworks, or creating your own divs to organize and lay all this out so you could actually use it with CSS. But in this instance, we're just going over the bare bones basics. So in this instance here, we're going to use lorem text. So just type in lorem and hit tab. And this will just put some dummy text in there for us to see. Now, if we save this file, okay, and we have it set in the appropriate folder on our server or on our web host, we should be able to navigate to the website. In this instance here, since I'm on a local host, I'm just going to go to localhost/test. In your case, you would use your domain name that you have pointed to your web server after you've loaded this up. And once we hit OK, it'll actually load up our web page. So we have hello world, this is my first web page, and then we just have a paragraph. Now, it doesn't look the greatest because, well, we didn't style anything, we didn't include anything with it, but this is just the basics of a web page. Now, you don't really necessarily need a web server to even see this. Your web browser is very capable of opening up HTML pages to be able to see the text. But because I'm going to show you guys some PHP later on, we do need a server in order to process that information, so that's why I'm using it in this instance. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll move on to the next one here shortly.